Yeah, man. I see you recently retired. So I wanted to have you on the show because you gave us some good memories here in Detroit. Me personally, my first playoff win and all that good stuff like that, man.
Yeah, man.
Tell me what's some of the thought process of going through that and what you're looking forward to transitioning to.
Nah, man, that's a good question. I feel like there's a lot of guys that I've seen maybe really rode the wheels until they fell off, and I just didn't want to be one of those guys. I felt like I probably could have squeezed a couple more years out of it, but I felt like, maybe I wasn't going to like what my body felt like if I did. I was in a place where, my body still felt pretty decent, went through a lot of damage, obviously played a ton of games. I just thought it was the right time. That's really what went behind it. And, I got a lot of other projects, a lot of other talents that I'm kind of ready to explore. And I just felt like this was the right time for me to kind of turn that page and really dive into those and explore all those other talents I feel like I have.
Yeah, man, I saw one of those talents is broadcasting, and I saw you post about some golf stuff. Also, you're a Penn State guy. I know a lot of Michigan fans here at this network. But,
man. Hey, no, I respect your service as a Lion, though. So you always, I'm in with you.
I appreciate that, brother.
Yes, sir.
I definitely don't got a whole lot of love to show University of Michigan. I can't lie to you.
Hey, it is what it is, man. But you was a pro, so I respect you as a pro, absolutely.
But while at Penn State, you guys did capture a Big Ten championship, man. You got a documentary coming out about that, a docuseries?
Yeah, man. Called A Turnaround. Me and my best friend, Marcus Allen, we are working on this docuseries that we're trying to get out to a distributor, working on a sizzle trailer right now, but really just telling the story about, the state that Penn State was in at the time that we came in as freshmen, and kind of what we set out to do there and how we brought the standard back to Penn State and brought it back to being a perennial top 10 program. Obviously you mentioned it already. We won that Big Ten championship game my junior year, and it took a whole lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of characters involved with the turnaround of that place. But obviously, as you guys know, from that time that Penn State had received those sanctions during that Joe Pa era, and they thought that Penn State was never going to come back. I remember when we had committed to Penn State, we didn't even expect to play in a bowl game our freshman year. That bowl game ban ended up getting lifted halfway through that season. We ended up playing the Pinstripe Bowl later on that year and winning it, and then obviously finished up with the Rose Bowl my junior year, Fiesta Bowl that we won my senior year, and kind of ended off with a bang, finished top 5 our last 2 years there. So very, very memorable time over at Penn State, and an absolute awesome thing to be able to bring that program back to, where it belongs.
Beat Michigan 42-13.
Oh, my God. Did you have to bring it up, man? Come on, man. Come on. I remember that game.
That boy Sean Barkley was running all over y'all that game.
Yeah, that was tough, man. There was some tough years. Man. But that was what, early Harbaugh. So, yeah, man, that was tough, bro. But I know you still tapped in with your alma mater, man. Just tell me about what you feel about the Penn State program right now. Of course, they were in the playoff this year, but James Franklin, man, like, what's the word on him? Because he can't seem to win the big one.
I mean, I hate when people say that. I feel like at least this year he deaded some of that narrative. We kept saying can't win the big one. Well, guess what? We won 2 playoff games. You can say what you want about, Boise State or about SMU, but at the end of the day, they were their conference champions, and we went out there and beat both those teams. And to be honest, really fumbled that game against Notre Dame. Drew obviously threw that pick at the end of the game when it was tied up, and we could have just, took it into overtime, and I believe we win the game if we do. But, I feel like Coach Franklin's really proved a lot. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great motivator, a great CEO of an organization, and I think he's just a guy that's super, super process-oriented and all about winning each individual day and doing everything you need to do on each day in order to be successful. And that's kind of the way he has that program and the mindset of those players set up. So I'm very thankful for the way, Coach Franklin coached us and, the things that he taught us and the core values that he instilled upon us and our team. And they're definitely things that I take on through the rest of life, everything that I learned while I was at Penn State personally.
Man, I got to get you back on because that's a whole other conversation we dive into as well, because I agree. But obviously, Lions, you won a playoff game there. You were there part of the Hard Knock series. I got to ask,
you
went viral. You had a famous moment. The intense staring out of Dan Campbell, man. I got to ask, what was your reaction to that?
Man, dude, I had all my friends from back home. I had all kinds of people on Instagram, Twitter. I think sometimes I still get tagged in that meme even nowadays. I think when I put my retirement post up, people started posting that clip. But I honestly, looking back, I know that I was doing Hard Knocks. That's kind of when I went viral. I don't remember exactly what Dan was talking about because he has many moments like this, honestly, where he's just, motivating us and, letting us know what is to come. And I mean, I was just fully bought in. Going from a guy like Matt Patricia to Dan Campbell was very different. I mean, it was awesome to have a guy who's been in our shoes coaching us up. I just think there's another level of attention to detail that you kind of pay when you have somebody who's been in your shoes and had as respectable of a career as Dan had. So ton of respect for Dan, ton of respect for the way he leads. I don't know if I've ever had a more motivating coach, a coach that I really, truly, run through a brick wall for than Dan, man. I mean, he just would have us juiced up, ready to go week in and week out. And, he's the type of coach that, he's right in there with you, whether through the good, through the bad. And I think that's where he gained so much respect from us as players, is just the fact that no matter what it looked like, whether we were freaking 4-12 or whether, these guys are 15-2 winning the NFC North, the message was always the same. And he stayed so consistent in his energy and the way that he showed up for us as players each and every single day. And, that's the type of person the type of person you want to be in the foxhole with. And I mean, Dan is just absolutely awesome. Wish him all the success in the world. Now, I know one day that guy's going to be holding a Super Bowl ring for sure.
You damn right, man. If I had a nickel for every time I heard, I would run through a wall for Dan Campbell, man. Like, everybody that's around that guy seems to have the same sentiment, man. So it's good to hear that. I wanted to ask you just about the state of the Lions right now, man. Of course, we are coming off that heartbreaking loss in the divisional round. I'm still hurt by it personally. Not going to be right until the season starts. But just give us your take on, the Lions season. They had a franchise record in wins and accomplished a lot, even though they didn't get done what they wanted to get done. And what do you think they need to do going forward in order to get over that hump?
I mean, if I'm being honest, I truly feel like this year was the year. I mean, the offense was firing on all cylinders all year long. Everybody gets on Coach Johnson, and for this last game, I mean, they scored 30-plus points. I think the storyline of this season is a very obvious one, and it's simple and it sucks. But the reality of the situation is we just caught an injury bug that was way too hard to overcome. I mean, when you're looking at your defense, not only are 8 of the 11 starters out, but you've got reserves out. I mean, you're playing third-string guys. Some guys were pulling off the street in the last couple weeks of the season to go out and play really meaningful snaps on defense. So just the reality of the situation is it is not an easy league to win at, and it's especially not easy to win when your team is not at full strength. And that's kind of how, in my synopsis of the season, and especially that last loss, is just that injury bug was too much to overcome. And I think this team was so fun to watch because throughout the season, as that injury bug was happening and other, things were happening, guys getting suspended, whatever the case, we found the different ways to win each and every game. I mean, you look at that Houston game, Jared throws, 3-4 picks in that game.
5.
And we find a way to come back and scrape together and win that game. And I think that's the reason why we became America's team. And you saw the energy, the effort that guys played for each other. You saw the love for each other that this team had and how close it was. But the reality of the situation is that NFL is such a hard league to win at. And when you're not at full strength, it just makes it that much harder. And I think that's what happened at the end of the season.
Yeah, man, it's unfortunate. It was just Super Bowl expectations.
Yeah.
And then they keep winning, so you're like, well, maybe they can still pull it off.
Yeah, they persevered, bro. They really did, man. So, I mean, you got to give them credit for that. But like I said, going forward, do you think there's anything specific that they need to do? Is there a certain area of the field they need to attack, or just what are your thoughts on how they can get over the hump?
I mean, it's hard to say because, without the changes and what this new team will be next year, I would say, man, just run it back and pray that you stay healthy, because I really, truly felt like that team had all of the elements of a Super Bowl winning team. Obviously, we talked about the injury bug, but from a going forward standpoint, I think obviously with the losses, with AG leaving, with Ben Johnson leaving, there's a lot of change. So it's going to start with obviously Dan making the right hires and making sure that everybody's on the same page from an offensive, defensive standpoint. If things are changing, how those things are taught, how well these guys grasp if there's a new offense or a new defense and things of that nature. It is not easy to undergo change, especially at the coordinator level. And obviously there's a little bit of shuffling around of the position coaches as well. Steve Hyden's no longer there. Coach Montgomery sounds like he's going to move to the wide receiver room. So kind of how those adjustments end up playing out. But one thing I do know is, man, Dan has always had his hand on the temperature of the team. He does such a good job of managing the team throughout the season, through every phase, making sure they're on track to where they need to be and what that looks like, that end point, and making sure he's guiding the team so that they're on track to reach that. So I got a superior level of confidence in Dan and what he's going to do. But the reality is there's new challenges going into this year that are going to be more than just personnel challenges. Obviously, Brad and Dan have done a great job of drafting from day one since they got there. So I'm very sure that, these guys that they have coming in are going to be great dudes, not only character-wise, but talent-wise. And I think that's where I have the most respect in Brad and in Dan is it became very clear from the second they came into the building that it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter how much talent you had. If you didn't fit the culture of Detroit football, if you didn't have grit, if you weren't by your film the type of dude that plays hard as hell for your teammates, and you weren't the guy that absolutely loves the game, you weren't going to be in the building. And, that was so apparent, and that's something I really, really respected out of the culture that we were able to create over Detroit.
Damn, man. It's got me hyped,
that,
man.
bro. Right, I'm ready to run through a wall, man. What's up?
Hey, Jason, we were texting a little bit before you hopped on. I know you said you had somewhere to be at 5:30. I apologize for keeping you over.
You're good. We got a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
all right.
perfect.
All right,
perfect.
Sick. How tapped in are you with the draft process right now with some of these guys coming out? I see you did a video on Abdul Carter on your Instagram.
Yeah, I'm pretty in tune with the Penn State guys. I haven't got a chance to watch a ton of the combine this year. I've seen some clips, some of the viral clips. Some guys I know the DBs are up to this. So we're going to see a bunch of 4.3s ran and things of that nature. But really tapped in with the Penn State guys. And I think we have a really, really good group, especially just the guys who were invited to the combine, let alone, the guys who are going to have really good pro days and hopefully can make their way into, a day 2 or a day 3 pick. But, man, Tyler Warren, this guy is a stud.
Yeah.
This dude, I love watching this guy play. He's got grit. Every single time he blocks, he wants to finish somebody into the ground. He catches the ball. He's looking for contact. This is the type of player that can really be franchise-changing, can be a quarterback's best friend. He's always friendly in his routes. He's got great hands. And at the end of the day, he's super dependable. This is a guy who, no matter what he's got going on, whether he's hurt, whether the case is, he's going to be out there on that field. And everybody knows in the league, man, it's about ability and everything you can do on the field, but it's about durability as well.
Yes, sir.
If you can't be on that field, you're no good to the team. There's nothing you can do for him. And, this guy truly has it all. I project him to be a first-round, top 15 pick. Wherever this guy goes, that team is going to improve. Truly. KJ Winston, our safety, who was out with a torn ACL all year, this guy, his 2023 film is building up to for sure be a first-round pick. We'll see how teams view him as he's coming off of the injury, but another guy who's just super smart, really talkative out there, demonstrative in the way that he calls out the defense and communicates with his teammates, is great in the open field tackling. He's got range, super athletic. So, Penn State has always kind of cranked out freak athletes, but it's just amazing to me how, time and time again, we just have guy after guy. You look at Abdul Carter, you guys talked about the video I dropped. This guy's got a chance to go out there and run 4.4. We didn't see him run at the combine. I think he's dealing with a little bit of an ankle issue. He said that he's going to be able to go at pro day, but this guy's got bend. He's got athleticism, plays with his hair on fire. He's all over the field, outside screen game. He's chasing down guys from the back. It's just incredible to see this guy go. And then when you think about the fact that they just moved him up to the line of scrimmage this year, and that's the type of numbers that he cranked out, 12 and a half sacks, crazy amount of TFLs. This dude is just straight up production. So I'm really, really excited to see what he's able to do at the next level, because he's one of those types of players that's very low risk. The ceiling is still pretty high. And then, the floor is still pretty high. And then when we talk about the ceiling, we're talking about a Micah Parsons level talent. And we just know how disruptive and how much of a game changer a guy like Micah Parsons can be. So I'm really, really excited to see Abdul at the next level.
Yeah, his twitch is insane. That you talked about his production. That's kind of the question I wanted to lead into with that one, because one of my draft crushes, and I want to fall to the Detroit Lions, Shamar Stewart. However, not a lot of college production. He's got, I think, 4.5 sacks total out of his 3 years.
Yeah. He got the tools, though.
He's 6'6".
Man, he got all the intangibles, all the stuff you look for.
1-5 split yesterday for the 10-yard. What do you make of that guys coming to the league that haven't really produced at the collegiate level, but you put on the tape and you obviously see that they're special?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think that's a tough thing sometimes, and kind of what is the job of these NFL scouts and stuff is kind of to diagnose what is it about their situation in college that didn't lead maybe to the typical production you would see out of a guy that would go in the first 3 rounds of the draft. And you talk about Shamar and the tools that he has. He's got the length, he's got the speed, he's got the explosion, but only 4.5 sacks. Okay, is it scheme? Is he playing as an outside linebacker when really he's a true D end? There's a lot of questions. Is it coaching? Is it the D-line coach and them maybe not giving them the tools that they need in order to succeed on game day? So, these are all the questions that the NFL scouts have to ask. But what I do know is when you go to the combine, you have a combine like that. And like you said, he has the tools, all the tools to be successful at the next level. That's the kind of stuff that intrigues guys, because the guys and scouts and coaches is like, man, if we can just get this guy here and put him in position, I feel like I'm going to be able to make sure he's in a successful position based on our scheme, based on how we'll use him, because all of those things in the sport of football are really, really important. So I think a guy like that definitely has a chance. I mean, you look at Odafe Owe at Penn State. I think he might have gone to the league with maybe 5 or 6 sacks, something similar to Shamar. Not a ton of sacks in college. And you see the way this guy's developed. And he was young going into the league. He's 21, went and ran a 4.4 at the combine, got drafted, I think, at the top of the second round or maybe the very end of the first. And he's become a cornerstone guy on that defense. So, you really never know what you're going to get. But when you have those type of measurables, when you perform and on the athletic score at that rate, I think it gives, a lot of coaches a lot of optimism in terms of what they can do at the next level.
And Chop Robinson last year, actually.
Yeah, I did, man. I was big on Chop, man. And you saw how he produced at the NFL level. But, I got to get your opinion because you've been in that building. You know the type of guy that Brad Holmes is. You know how he likes to operate. What should Lions fans expect from this coming draft? We're picking a little later than we're accustomed to, man. We're picking at 28. There is a chance that we can move up. We already know Brad's history with moving up in the draft. What should Lions fans expect from this coming draft?
That's a good question. I think the Lions are in a great position. I think they're in a great position. I think they're going to go for depth here. I don't look or see any glaring positions where we really, really need guys. I could see them, beefing up a little bit more in the O-line, D-line a bit and continuing that depth because you can never have enough big bodies. We know how it is in the trenches. Guys get hurt, things of that nature. It's always good to have guys behind there. You got a Taylor Decker who's also – get on the tail end of his career here. But I just think the Lions are in a really, really great position where at the end of the day, no matter who they pick, they're in the position where they can just go get great players. Go get guys that they feel like they can produce at the next level. There's no glaring weak point on the team where, man, we need to go get a guy and we need to bet everything on him because if he doesn't pan out, we're screwed. That's not the position that they're in. And that's really a testament to these last 3 drafts that Brad and Dan have had.
Jason, man, I really enjoyed talking ball with you. We definitely got to have you back on, especially with you head in terms of broadcasting and stuff like that. I want to let you get to your call. Do you want to mention anything? I know you got the golf show coming up as well, though. Tell us what you got going on before we let you go, man.
Yeah, so I've been working on this concept for the last few months. So it's called the Fairway Huddle. It's going to be a golf/NFL show. I really want to call it a game show, honestly, because these guys are going to be coming onto the show, and we're going to be competing in a 2-man scramble at Pebble Beach on a TrackMan simulator at my private indoor golf club after hours. And these guys will have a chance based on if they shoot the lowest score throughout the series, we'll have a chance to win $10,000. Half of it's going to go to the athlete's favorite charity of choice. Half of it gets to go in their pocket. And on top of that, every single guy who comes on the show is getting $2,000 to bet against me on any shot, from 185 yards and in, must land on the green. So it's going to be a really great competitive environment. We're going to be able to really talk, and I'm going to dive into their NFL careers, who they are behind the helmet. As you know, it isn't always the easiest thing to know football players behind the helmet, just from a standpoint of us always wearing it. So really just you getting to know the face, getting to know what these guys and who they are off the field, what they do off the field and in their communities, because I just think there's so many great guys, man. Really just great at heart, great character guys. And I think those are the guys who really make it the farthest. So I just really want to highlight these dudes while also creating a really cool competitive environment in a sport that you guys really don't ever get to see them play in golf. So I'm really excited about it. I love golf so much. I'm very addicted to golf right now. I'm getting out 2-3 times a week. So I'm excited to play with these guys. First episode is going to be filmed March 7th with Javon Howland, Pro Bowl safety out of the Miami Dolphins. So I'm excited about this, man. We got some pretty cool guests coming up. Golden Tate is also inquired. He's another guy who wants to be on the show. So we got some really cool names coming up for you guys.
Got to reach out, get one of your
Fairway Huddle.
The Fairway Huddle. Make sure you guys check it out. Make sure you follow Jason as he heads on to his career after football. I'm looking forward to the Fairway Huddle, though. I want to see the trash talk.
Right.
$2,000.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a lot.
That's a lot of money. That's more than my units there.
It'll be dope, man. I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate
you. Thank you. And thank you for your service for our team, too, man.
Yes, sir.
No doubt, brother. One pride.
One pride all day.
Man, that's dope.
Yeah, that's fire.
I got to get Jason back on.
Yeah, he fired, bro.
At least we started talking about, you see, he got the Penn State stuff?
Yeah.
Bro, he was spit.
He was getting at me a little bit.
I was like, hey, he could be Warren's agent.
No, he really could, man.
He could get that man paid.
Yeah, man.